I built this dream physique after only a few years in the gym. Along my fitness journey, I tried out a ton of different workout routines because I was unsure which one was going to lead to me putting on muscle the fastest and which one was going to have the highest return on investment. This led to a ton of periods along my fitness journey when the muscle growth that I had was quite stagnant and it wasn't nearly as good as it could have been if I'd known what I know now and which workout routine is the most optimal. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly the workout routine you should be doing to put on muscle as quickly as possible so that you don't make the same mistakes I did and you can build your dream physique in half the time it took me. So I'll briefly explain the process of hypertrophy. So when you go to the gym and you start working out, what's happened is you're actually putting stress on your muscles, and what's going to happen when you do this is it's going to cause your muscles to tear. So when your muscles tear, this is what leads to the recovery process. After your muscles have torn and you've been in the gym and you go away, if you have proper nutrition and proper amounts of protein, fats, and carbohydrates, and alongside that you give your muscles a proper amount of time to rest, then what's going to happen is your muscle group tear is going to repair itself and they're going to grow back thicker and stronger than they were before. So this is how you're able to keep continually increasing the weights in the gym and the amount of load and stress that your muscles are under. Because each time you tear the muscle and it repairs itself, it comes back stronger and it comes back thicker. So think about sandpaper and rubbing sandpaper on your hand, for example. If you were to do this, then it would tear the skin, and the skin would, in that moment, be a lot weaker. However, if you gave it enough time for your hand to actually recover and for your skin to fully regenerate, then the next time round, when you rub the sandpaper on your skin, it's going to actually be a lot thicker and it's going to be a lot harder, and it's also going to be a little bit tougher for you to rub the sandpaper on your skin and to actually tear the skin again, because the skin's had the proper recovery and it's grown back harder and stronger. However, if instead of waiting the proper amount of time for your recovery period to actually rub the sandpaper on your skin again and it wasn't fully healed, what's going to happen is skin is just going to continually become weaker and weaker because it hasn't had that process of actually recovering and actually building itself back up and becoming stronger. So this is the exact same process in the gym, and this is why recovery is so important. If you don't give your muscles the optimum time to recover after tearing them in the gym, then they're not going to grow back harder and stronger because you're going to keep tearing them before they've had the full recovery, and it's just going to be really detrimental to your gains in the gym. So now that we've discussed that, I want to talk about the best workout routine which you should be doing in the gym, and that's push-pull legs. So I found that when I was actually doing this workout routine, this led to the most growth by far. And the reason for this is because science has showed that you're hitting each muscle group 2 times a week. So in terms of muscle recovery, like I mentioned before, it takes roughly about 72 hours or so for the muscle to actually fully recover. So if you're doing push-pull legs, and for example you're doing chest on your push days, then you've got pull days and then leg day, and then you go back again and you do another push day and you do chest again. That's already been 3 days where you've waited for your muscle group to recover, and this has kind of been proven to be the optimal recovery period. So science has showed that if you're hitting the muscle group 2 times a week, this is optimal for muscle growth. And it's also going to help you build muscle a lot quicker and a lot faster than if you were doing it 1 time a week. So therefore, if you're only hitting the muscle group once a week, you're actually leaving a lot of gains behind on the table. You're still going to be building muscle. However, you could actually be doing this a lot faster because your muscle is actually repaired and recovered itself a few days earlier than if you left it for a whole week. So therefore, if you're not hitting the muscle group again a few days later, midway through the week, then you're actually just leaving gains on the table and you're still going to put on muscle, but it's just going to take quite a bit longer than it would have before. If you want to check out my paid program, that's going to be the first link in the description. I've actually put in a PDF of my exact push-pull legs workout routine, which I use to gain muscle as quickly as possible. And in addition to that, I've got 2-hour long modules which are going to be coming in soon, where I'm just talking about the exact tricks and processes that I went through, the exact techniques you need to really build muscle as efficiently as possible in the gym. So if you want to check that out, that's going to be the first link in the description below. So moving on to one of the most common workout routines which a lot of people use is the bro split. So this is where you work one muscle group each day of the week. So for example, Monday it might be chest, then Tuesday it might be back, then Wednesday it might be arms, Thursday shoulders, and Friday legs. And then you have Saturday and Sunday off. Now this is still going to help you build muscle, but like I said before, if it only takes around 72 hours for your muscles to recover fully, and you're only hitting the muscle group once a week, and you're waiting a whole week to hit them again, there's just a period of time there where you're actually just missing out on gains, and you actually really could have used that time to actually build your muscles up a lot quicker and a lot faster, which is going to lead to you putting on muscle group in as least time as possible, which is what we're trying to do here. In addition to that, this workout routine isn't actually that effective, and it's actually not that beneficial for the return on investment of the time you put in, just because it doesn't take a whole hour for you to actually properly tear that muscle group that you're working on. So for example, if you're doing shoulders one day and you dedicate a whole hour to your shoulders, within the first couple of sets, you would have actually already done enough to really kind of tear this muscle. And just the more effort you put in and the more amount of sets you do, the benefit is actually quite incremental, and the return on investment just isn't really there, and it's just not really worth your time at that point. And your time and effort could actually be used elsewhere if you were implementing another muscle group into that workout. So therefore, although you can put on muscle with the bro split, where you're doing one muscle group each day of the week, if you want to put on muscle as quickly as possible, science has showed that 2 times a week for each muscle group is the best to do this. So I wouldn't recommend using the bro split. The next workout routine which people do are upper-lower splits. This is where you do one day where you do the upper body, and then the next day when you do the lower body, and then you have a rest day after that, and then you go again. And I found that although you will be hitting each muscle group 2 times a week, this isn't anywhere near as effective as doing a push-pull legs workout. Because if you're going to the gym and you're just doing your whole upper body all at once, you're not going to really be able to actually target specific muscle groups anywhere near as well as if you were doing push-pull legs workout routine. And although you can do compound exercises, I just found that it's a lot more effective if you actually go through the push-pull legs workout routine, where you're kind of doubling up on the same muscle groups each time you go to the gym. And I just felt like this is just a lot more effective. It's a much easier way to put on more muscle, and you can target each muscle group quite a lot better, which is going to lead to more gains and more progress in the gym. So the next workout routine and the final one, which a lot of people do, are full body splits. So this is where you go into the gym and you just work out your full body all at once, and then the next day you might have a rest day, and then you might go in and you might work out your whole body again after that. So I found that this isn't really a really good workout routine for building muscle either. It's probably quite effective if you're time poor and you only have time for a few exercises and you can only go a few times a week. Then you may as well go in and just do a couple of the basic compound exercises, which are going to help build up your physique in different areas. So you might do one back exercise, one pull exercise, and then one squat exercise, like that. However, I just found that if you have the time to go to the gym a little bit more than 3 times a week, it's a lot better to just reallocate some of these exercises to different periods of the week, where you're therefore going to be targeting each muscle better, and you're going to be hitting each muscle group more specifically. You're going to be training with more purpose, and you're just going to be putting on muscle a lot better, a lot quicker, and it's just going to be a lot more worthwhile your time going to the gym if you can actually reallocate this to different days of the week. So to come to a conclusion here, push-pull legs is by far the best workout routine if you want to build muscle as quickly as possible. You're hitting each muscle group 2 times a week, which is the most optimal for muscle growth. In addition to that, when you're actually working push-pull legs, you're actually kind of doubling up on hitting the same muscle group with different exercises. So for example, with bench press, although you're targeting your chest, you're also going to be hitting the front of your shoulders and your triceps as well. So this is really effective because you're also, even though you're working out your chest, you're already starting to work on the other muscle groups as well, which are in the push category. So therefore, when you actually go and you start doing triceps after working your chest, or you do shoulders, you've already kind of torn them a little bit, so it just means there's just less exercises you need to do to actually create that maximum tier and to get the best return on your investment for going to the gym. So therefore, because of this, I think that push-pull legs is by far the best workout routine in the gym.